He was acquitted of a brutal murder that horrified a nation. Then, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. That death sentence was later changed to life in prison. Now, after decades behind bars, the man who stalked, raped, and killed 25-year-old law student Priyadarshini Mattoo has convinced a court that he's a reformed man. The very board that rejected his release 4 times must now reconsider, and he could soon walk free. This is the story of a killer who played the system, a family's unending nightmare, and a legal battle that has twisted and turned for nearly 30 years. This case forces us to ask, what is a life worth, and can a monster really change? To understand how we got to this point, where a convicted killer is on the verge of being released back into society, we have to go back to the beginning. But before we get to the courtroom, let's meet Priyadarshini. In the mid-1990s, Priyadarshini Mattoo was one of New Delhi's brightest young stars. At 25, she was in her final year of law school at Delhi University. She has a sharp mind and limitless future. Originally from Srinagar, she was a beloved daughter and sister, known for her warmth and determination, and she was just about to start a promising legal career. But someone was watching her, Santosh Kumar Singh. He was a fellow law student, but his interest in Priyadarshini was a dark obsession. For almost 2 years, Santosh stalked her. Relentlessly, he would follow her everywhere, show up at her home, and make unwanted advances. It was terrifying. Priyadarshini did everything you are supposed to do. She didn't stay quiet. She and her family filed multiple police complaints. You would think that with Santosh's father being a high-ranking police official, the response would be swift. Instead, it was tragically inadequate. The stalking didn't stop. The system that was supposed to protect her failed her at the very first test. If you were Priyadarshini, would you have trusted the police to protect you? Let us know in the comments. But the nightmare was only just beginning. That failure reached its horrific climax on 23 January, 1996. That afternoon, Priyadarshini was found murdered in her New Delhi home. The scene was brutal. She had been raped, beaten with a motorcycle helmet, and then strangled with a wire. It was an act of premeditated rage that stole a life full of promise. The investigation immediately pointed to the one man who had been tormenting her for years, Santosh Kumar Singh. The evidence against Santosh Singh seemed like a slam dunk. Police found his helmet at the crime scene. There were witnesses. And in an era when DNA evidence was still new to Indian courts, a DNA test confirmed the semen found on Priyadarshini's body belonged to him. The case should have been open and shut. But what happened next was a shocking journey through a broken justice system. In December 1999, the trial court delivered a verdict that sent waves of disbelief and anger across the country. Santosh Kumar Singh was acquitted. The judge gave a bizarre ruling, saying he believed Singh was the killer but was acquitting him anyway. He cited the benefit of the doubt because of poor evidence handling by the investigators. The decision felt like a gross miscarriage of justice, fueling public anger that Singh's powerful connections had corrupted the case. For a moment, it looked like the killer was going to get away with it. But the story wasn't over. The public outcry was massive. The media refused to let the case die, in what would become a landmark example of journalistic activism. All that pressure forced the system to act. The Central Bureau of Investigation, or CBI, challenged the acquittal. In 2006, the Delhi High Court took up the appeal. In a fast-tracked, day-to-day trial, the court tore apart the lower court's logic. On 17 October 2006, the High Court reversed the acquittal, finding Santosh Kumar Singh guilty of both rape and murder. The judges didn't mince words, declaring that the trial judge had murdered justice and that his entire approach was perverse. Then, on 30 October 2006, the sentence came down. Citing the sheer brutality of the crime and Singh's total lack of remorse, the Delhi High Court sentenced him to death, calling it the rarest of rare, cases. For Priyadarshini's family and the public who fought with them, it felt like justice, however delayed, had finally arrived. This case is a maze of legal twists and turns, and it's critical that we understand what they mean. On this channel, we put in the work to break down these complex cases to find the truth. If you appreciate that kind of deep dive and want to support what we do, take a second to hit that subscribe button. The death sentence wasn't the final chapter. Santosh Singh appealed to the Supreme Court of India. In October 2010, the court gave its final verdict. It upheld the conviction, confirming that Santosh Singh was, without a doubt, the killer. But, in a move that disappointed many, the court commuted the death sentence to life imprisonment, citing factors like Singh's age when he committed the crime. So, Santosh Singh was sent to prison for life. Now, for most of us, life imprisonment sounds like you are in jail for the rest of your natural life. But in the Indian legal system, it often means a fixed term, and after that, a prisoner can be considered for early release based on good behavior. And this is where Santosh Singh started playing the long game. Behind bars, Singh began building a new image. He earned a master's degree in law. He was described as a model prisoner. His lawyers argued that his good conduct proved he was reformed and no longer a threat. He was eventually moved to an open prison, a minimum security facility that grants inmates far more freedom. For 4 years, his conduct there was also deemed satisfactory. Armed with this record of reformation, Singh started applying for early release. His case went before Delhi's Sentence Review Board, or SRB. But time and time again, in 2019, 2021, 2023, and 2024, the board said no. They weren't convinced, citing the horrific nature of his crime and the public's interest in keeping him locked up. But Singh kept pushing. He took his case back to the Delhi High Court, arguing the SRB was being unfair. And in a stunning turn of events on 1 July 2025, the court agreed with him. The High Court threw out the SRB's rejections, stating that it found some element of reformation in him. The judge pointed out that the SRB hadn't done a proper psychological assessment and hadn't really considered his good behavior in the open prison as a sign of progress. The court has now ordered the Sentence Review Board to take a fresh look at his case within 3 months. The very same board that has repeatedly denied his release must now reconsider, this time under the direction of a court that sees signs of a changed man. So, that's where we are. A man who brutally murdered a young woman, was acquitted in a trial that murdered justice, was sentenced to death, and had that sentence reduced, is now closer than ever to walking free. The court's decision has sparked outrage. The victim's family, journalists, and public figures are warning the government that his release would shatter what little trust is left in the justice system. They argue that early release is a privilege, not a right, especially when the crime is this monstrous. The Priyadarshini Mattoo case has always been about more than just one person. It became a symbol of a flawed system, the influence of power, and the grueling fight for justice. Now, it poses a new, deeply unsettling question. Can a system meant to punish and reform be manipulated by the very criminal it's supposed to hold accountable? The board's final decision is still pending, but the path is now clear for a conclusion that once seemed unthinkable. What do you think? Do a few degrees and a good behavior record in prison wash away the brutality of the past? Can someone who did this ever truly be reformed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And amid all the legal arguments, we can't forget the person at the heart of this story. This isn't just a case file, it's the story of Priyadarshini Mattoo, a 25-year-old woman whose bright future was stolen from her. May her memory never be lost in the endless legal maneuvering of the man who took her life.